Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, welcome. Great to have you all. And for those whom are not aware, we're currently at the moment going through the Create framework. Uh, and the whole idea really is about calling out the creativity in all of us and how we can use that creativity uh, to create an environment and a life that's the one we've been called to live. Um, I'm going to start with a piece. Uh, yeah, well, it's the first on the list, so I'll go with that one and then we'll see where we go from there. This one is called Work of Art. Uh, and when you hear art here, see it in a broad context, any form of creativity that's being brought to life, really, is what I'm calling out here. So, work of art. What a work of art, I hear you exclaim, speaks to its beauty, pleasure in beholding, enjoying artistic flair, emanating from whom the universe breathes. As for the rest of us, we have work to do. Of this have no doubt. For form to arise from divine inspiration, for the unseen to be seen, this artist made possible by doing the work. I'll read that again. Work of art. What a work of art, I hear you exclaim. Speaks to its beauty, pleasure in beholding, enjoying the artistic flair emanating from whom the universe breathes. As for the rest of us, we have work to do. Of this have no doubt, for form to arise from divine inspiration, for the unseen to be seen, this art is made possible by doing the work.
Thank you.
Well, what are you hearing in this piece? What comes?
Can I say?
Yeah.
To me, what I'm hearing, I am 65 and a retired school teacher.
Hmm.
I'm also half Nigerian, so I'm here.
Uh-huh.
I'm here in, but I've only been twice when I was young. But what I am hearing is that the choice.
Hmm.
John, I'm just on a meeting, a poetry meeting. That's my husband.
Oh, okay.
He's half. No, he's American Greek. But what I am hearing is it is my choice.
Hmm.
I have worked and worked and worked hard, and I am retired. And now I feel called to continue working, but to reap the benefits of all the effort I have already put in. And now I am um, writing poetry
Hmm.
and painting paintings. Not this one.
Hmm.
This is my friend's, but this is this is a picture of the lotus flower which blooms and produces seed in dirty water. It brings out beauty anyway.
Hmm.
And so to me, what you have said means to me now is a time to come to this works to meet you people, and I'm very creative. I have been since I was a child,
Hmm.
and I've had ADHD, um, attention hyperactivity deficit, something, but I don't accept the deficit or the disorder.
Hmm.
But now, all my whole life, has been coming, working out, and it's been hard at times. But now I am so blessed and joyous, and I'm not even, a practicing Christian. My half sister is a Christian pastor who, preaches around, and I know Christianity. I chat Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, like Tina Turner and Herbie Hancock and Orlando Bloom and millions of different people. So I'm happy.
I am so glad to hear that, and thanks for sharing that in terms of the work that it takes to bring art to life. Thank you very much for sharing it. Anyone else on this?
Can you mute me?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, for me, what I'm hearing, I'm hearing about myself, really.
Okay.
Because it says, when you look into the world, you see everything. When I see everything, I appreciate what I see. I appreciate everything, be it human beings, be it walking. When I'm walking in the park, I see everything, the leaves, the trees, the people. I see everything, the beauty of it all. And this is creation. This is what God has made. And then there is something that is in me as well. It talks about from the seen, from the unseen, from the seen and the unseen. I see things like, for instance, for many years, I've been saying I must write something. I need to write my story. I don't. Is it procrastination? I see it. It's in my head. Why can't I put it into action? There's work to be done. There is work to be done. But what is it that is holding me? Because I'm not being seen. But if I put something there on paper, it will be seen. So it's very encouraging. This is encouraging because this poem is drawing everything there from what is in the world, what you see, if you are engaging, that is, it's all there. But if you don't see it, it's unseen as well.
Yeah, I love that, because you've actually come from the other side of that particular conversation to say, well, if it's seen, it's because someone's done the work. But if it's not seen, but it's there in the unseen, someone needs to do the work for it to become seen. So yeah, I love that. Anybody else on this? Hey, Miriam.
Hi. I was going to say that we ourselves are a work of art.
I love that.
And sometimes we need to just sometimes trust that that work of art is going to produce whatever it needs to produce in its own time, without having to do too much pushing and searching and shoving and all this. And I know that because after I had my stroke, I mean, always loved flowers, but I didn't have it, never thought of myself as somebody who would be able to do flower arrangements. But it came in my spirit to make some flowers and give them to my friends. And I didn't have no book to look at. I didn't look at pictures and think I'll do this design or that design. I used to be in my bed in the mornings and the pictures used to just come of what I should do and who I should do it for. And I used to get up and just go downstairs and just stand at my work table. And I just knew exactly what to do. And it was just coming, no planning, no nothing. And to me, that was like divine. That was God speaking in my spirit, speaking and going through me to show my creativity. And lots of people were saying, oh, why don't you should sell these flowers? They're so lovely. You've done this and they're so pretty. But, it was not, I didn't do it. I didn't do it to sell it. God wanted me to do it because it was part of, I think, part of my healing, because it made me use my hands, and my left hand needed to be used in order to regain the strength and the use of it. But I think also he just wanted me to give back something. It was a way of me giving back something, showing my gratitude for what God has done to me. I gave back something to people in my life through flowers.
Thanks for sharing that. That's beautiful. And that speaks to the whole idea of, you know, people are enjoying the artistic flair emanating from whom the universe breathes. So it's like that inspiration from the universe breathing through you and you then giving expression to it. So it's kind of I think this is calling out the co-creation between us and the divine. That's kind of the piece that's coming out there in terms of there's inspiration, and then for that inspiration to benefit someone else, it needs to come into the realm of the scene by someone actually doing something. And then I love the bit about actually the doing itself helps you in terms of your physical health as well, and also your mental health. It's been proven that allowing your creativity to flow improves your mental health as well. Anything from you, Mary? You're on mute at the moment. There we go.
Okay, good. Good afternoon, everyone. You've said it all. It's like, to me, what you've just said, the invisible coming alive, you know, it's just God, you know, the universe, or whatever anyone wants to call it, God, showing its uniqueness, you know, and bringing it out. And it's also showing us how we can bring out our own uniqueness. While he has done it for us, we need to complete it by bringing it out ourselves. So that's the way I'm looking at it, that there's so much in us also that God has, you know, the creation has deposited in us, you know, to exhibit for others also to enjoy, look out, you know, look on it and see what they can do with them, their own, you know, uniqueness, and just show it out and let everyone experience it while we're on head. Because in the last, how will I say it? Because in life, sometimes when you go through challenges, you tend to look at the earth as, you know, why am I here? Everything is not going accordingly. And, you know, what's going on? I don't really appreciate, you know, sometimes you tend to say, beat yourself to it that you're not happy being on earth because of so many challenges you're going through. But in the last 1 month, I've seen it another way, that it's just a great experience. It's an opportunity. It's a gift. Everything, it's just a gift to showcase uniqueness of the creator himself and us as human beings that he has created. And how can we now enjoy what he has given us to experience on earth, you know, in it, by seeing it on earth. So that's how I see it. So I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you. And really, you know, the next piece I'm going to put on is actually coming off from what you just said. So, and we'll reference back what you just said after I've read the piece. Road to Failure, this one is called. Failure sounds like it should be where the road comes to an end. It could be. That depends on you. You could decide to build more road using the learning material. So I repeat, road to failure. Failure sounds like it should be where the road comes to an end. It could be. That depends on you. You could decide to build more road using the learning material. And I think that kind of has a bit of the element of what you were saying there, Mary, of things happening in life. Is like, what do you do?
I just say that seeing the positive side of everything, focusing more on the positive than the negative side of whatever we see visible to us, you know, we should just learn. That's the only way we can enjoy what we're doing on earth. So that's where I find myself now, and I'm trying to experience that on earth. That I'll be 57 this year, and I see myself as I've not even started. You know, I've not really utilized what I've been given on earth to do. I've not seen it the way I'm supposed to say it. So I'm just, you know, asking myself, sitting with myself, because I feel sometimes we find it very difficult. I find it very difficult sitting with myself, you know, knowing myself more, understanding myself, and seeking that divine wisdom to just use whatever I found out about myself and the understanding I have of myself to utilize it to bless the world with, you know, in a positive way. So I think you've just said it. We all have it inside us, but as time goes on, it will be revealed to the earth at its appointed time.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I think that goes back to something Claudette was saying earlier on, isn't it? The time when it was time for her to manifest those gifts, she began to receive the inspiration. Claudette, you've come off mute. Was there something you were going to say on this one?
Yeah, I was going to say, I just think sometimes we need to embrace failure, our failures, because failure is not always a bad thing. And we need to embrace it. And if we see failing at something as a learning way, that what can we look at, what we can learn from when things don't go right for us or go the way that we want it to go. You know, we should not see it as a failure, but look at what is it I need to learn here? What can I learn here that can propel me forward, rather than allow the failures to stagnate you, and then you go nowhere, or go around in circles, I should say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, indeed. And that's the whole idea of the learning material piece, is that you could use, because actually failure is a premature judgment in many instances. Because when you look at the spectrum of our lives, actually there are no failures. They're just learnings that can be used to move forward. But when we judge it too early because it's not the end that we expected, then sometimes we can name it a failure. Jane, anything from you on this one?
Yeah, what I'm getting here, a lot of it depends on I as an individual. It has to be in my spirit. I must aspire, even if I fail. But because here it's pointing out that the material, everything is there. Everything is there, and not only the materials, but human beings in their form, they are there. I can come to you to say, Frank, this is my problem. I can anybody to say, you know, this is my problem, this is what I want to do. Because in doing so, I'll be learning something. Because it's with me, if it's weak, if it's not propelling me to do those things, or it doesn't come to anything. So I have to be driven to say that, okay, got this giant in me which wants to produce something, and God has given me this one and that one to help me accomplish. So it really depends on me and perhaps other people to see something in me and push me to say, listen, you are already sitting on a diamond mine.
Yeah. No, so which goes back to the point we were saying earlier about the unseen. It's there unseen. With some, when we give ourselves to it, it can become seen.
Same.
Yeah. Were you going to add something to that, Mary?
No.
Okay. Right. Okay. So something someone said, and this is how these sessions normally work, reminds me that this piece might work now. I think it was you, Mary, said something about being stuck, or kind of not really being able to move on or something like that. So this one says stuck. I'll read it. Stuck here on repeat. Time to get back on your feet. Open to the message, present in the moment. What is it saying? Be more gentle. Be clear or be still. Be quiet or speak. Just be here. Every moment new. Inviting fresh inquiry. What is needed to lighten the load. Ease the path. To get you past the edge. into new expanses of growth? The answer is in the moment, a new way of seeing, a new way of being for fresh experiences. I'll repeat that. This piece is called Stuck. Stuck here on repeat. Time to get back on your feet. Open to the message, present in the moment. What is it saying? Be more gentle. Be clear or be still. Be quiet or speak. Just be here. Every moment new. Inviting fresh inquiry. What is needed to lighten the load? Ease the path. To get you past the edge. Into new expanses of growth. The answer is in the moment. A new way of seeing. A new way of being. For fresh experience.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow, there's a lot there.
I think we've done something to Mary. We've taken Mary somewhere.
I'd like to share something because
Yeah.
it just came to me as you were saying it. And that's when we're in our own silent moment and we're searching about who we are and all that and what we need to do next. When you said stagnant or repeat. And there was a time I was in that moment and I was saying, because I just become a believer of truth, you know, so I was just asking, what do I do next? I was looking for that thing. What do I do next? I just need a word, you know, from. And I remember my spirit traveling so far on that journey. And I was so scared. It was like a Concorde. It was traveling. And I got to this place and I couldn't stay there. I went to the other place. And one voice just said, patient. And my spirit just came back to me again. I was so scared on this moment when I was experiencing this. And I just had just one word, patient. And my spirit just came back to me. And I was so glad. But on that journey also, I had a lot of questions with that word patient. And I had to ask myself, what patient? I'm not Abraham, my dad, my Sarah. This journey of life, I'm telling a different story. What do you want me to be patient there? But I realized with time, some of us are anxious for what we are not supposed to. I was anxious. And the Creator was just telling me, be patient. What I've said, I will do it at my appropriate time. Just relax with me. Relax with me and let me show you the way to do it correctly instead of how it used to be. So when you just said repeat and all that, that just came back to me as, you know, that God, the universe has a way of bringing us back to alignment no matter where we find ourselves. So as she said earlier on, failure is not failure, it's part of knowledge of life, and we should embrace whatever life has to teach us at every particular time. So that's where, that's where I am. It's really nice. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. And that speaks to quite a few elements in that piece about the it's kind of, and it's never, what I like of that, it's never necessarily the same answer for everybody. It depends on where you are. So for you, it's patience. For somebody else, it might be time to get off your bum and do something. It really just depends. Anybody else on this before I say any more on
that? When I was reading that, the first part reminded me of the scripture, be still and know I'm God. That's what the first part of the poem reminded me. And sometimes, you know, we just need to just be still and sit with ourselves, you know, rather than always be busying or looking on the outside. We need time to be still and look on the inside and be quiet and allow God to talk to us.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else on this one?
I like getting over the past and to learn to start afresh, because the past can really inhibit you from going forward. Yeah, that's what is going on in my head. Yeah, when I hear this poem. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the whole idea, that if it feels like you're stuck because it feels like it's just a repeating pattern of the past, but something tells you there's something new there for you, but you just can't quite get to it. And sometimes it's that, yeah, let's move, let's go. And God is saying, okay, create space where you can receive something new, create space. And that's the idea of a new way of seeing and a new way of being, so that you can experience something different. Because if you keep going on the same pattern, there's a good chance you'll be experiencing more of the same. But it is a challenge for us to sit quietly with ourselves and learn. But you can't outrun yourself. And the answer is not out there. The answer is, because even if God is giving you the answer, he will deposit it within. It might inspire it by something without, but ultimately the message will be from within. So that's kind of what this one is about. Let me go with, yeah, let's go with this one, because I think that might speak to where we just come from. And again, as we all know, these pieces are random until they're no longer random. Right, this one is called The Dead. The unhelpful past is gone, no longer here. What do you do with the dead? Dead by design, no use for living. Bury the dead, lest it cause a stink. Make life unbearable for the living. Let the dead be buried to make way for the living. Start that again, the dead. The unhelpful past is gone, no longer here. What do you do with the dead? Dead by design, no use for living. Bury the dead, lest it causes a stink, making life unbearable for the living. Let the dead be buried to make way for the living.
That's just, can I talk? Sorry.
Yeah, of course you could talk.
Please.
That's why you're here, right?
Yeah, thank you. That just remind me of, who was this lady in the Bible that became a salt when she was
Lot's wife.
looking? Yeah, Lot's wife. That's just remind me of that when you said, let's bury, when you don't learn to bury the past will keep you in one place forever. Because that was why she turned to a salt that was just there permanently and was not, she couldn't go back, neither could she go forward. And that's, may we have the grace to move forward. That's all I'll say, because there is a passage that says in the word that our heart, what we think, our thought determines everything. That out of the heart, it tells the issues of life. And it's telling sometimes again, when we keep on repeating what is no more there, it's like we're rebuilding it into the future, the present we're in at this particular time. So that's what I'm also learning, to allow some things, it's like sometimes maybe something happened to you now, another month it happens to you same time. And then you keep on thinking, oh, it's coming another month, it's coming other one, same thing is going to happen. And that means we are creating that moment again to reoccur. So it's just been said, whatever the past is, let it be buried. Because you've gained whatever needs to be, the knowledge you need to get, you've gotten it. You just bury that, hold on to the knowledge, and find the understanding of how to make it better for you as you move forward. And just let it, something that is dead be dead.
I like that.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Anybody else on that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it reminds me some years back. I've been widowed for so many years now, almost 24 years. I remember my own children. I think it was about 5 years or so. My own children said, "Mommy, stop telling us that you are a widow. Move on." So it's about such things. Stuck in the past and not move on and experience things. Really, it's a real reminder that there is something out there that not depends on you, but sometimes other people go to push you to say, you know what, you are just stuck in the past. The dead, this is dead wood. It won't work. It won't function. That's what I hear when you read this poem. That's what I hear for myself.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I was thinking that sometimes we just have to accept what's happened in the past and let it go, so we can move on and embrace the new. And I see that even with what I've been through, that when I had the stroke and I couldn't do certain physical things, I could have spent my time trying to get back to what I was in the past, what I could do in the past. But now I've had to let go of what I could do and embrace what I can do now, and strive for what I can do. So my glass is always half full and not I'm not coming from a half empty. Oh, I used to do that, so I'm going to keep harping back to what I could have done, and then take no notice of what I can do now, because there's so many things I can do now, or that I'm doing now that I wasn't doing before I became sick.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, that's powerful. Thanks for sharing.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, and there's a couple of bits I want to pull out about dead. So we need to reorientate ourselves with the idea of dead. When we look at nature, dead is not necessarily the end of something. It's the beginning of a new cycle. So that which dies goes into the same energy of life to feed a new beginning. So by actually holding on to the dead, you are obstructing the emergence of the cycle that which is dead is meant to actually feed and empower for the new to come. So that there is that. Also, when you hold on to the dead and don't let it do what it's supposed to do, this is the idea of the stink. So the stink really is a metaphor for where you begin to experience things that are not fulfilling. You begin to experience things that are not feeding your soul anymore, because its season is over. And actually the preparation of something new is there, but you are not going to where that is. You are holding on to that because you have a fear that if you let go of the dead, you don't know what the future will hold, which is natural. We're always afraid of the unknown, but actually it's about trusting the cycle of life and just going, the season of this. It happens in relationships as well. Sometimes a relationship dies. The person might not die, but the relationship dies. So it's kind of like that is making room for new relationships. So it's letting that be. Okay. Anything else on that before I move on?
Frank, can I just say something? I'm sorry.
Of course you can, my dear.
I'm sorry I'm a bit in the back, but I've got other company here, so I'm trying to mute myself when I can and not interfere with you all. But for such
I'd love to hear from you.
for such beautiful ladies on the platform, I
Mhm.
think they're speaking such knowledge and wisdom. I want to listen. So that's wonderful. Talking about dead, many people are walking around as dead people. So Lord help them to know that they can find life in Him. For a start, that's all I think about. My late
I like that.
husband, my late husband, I've learned so much from him in the past, and so I'm taking it now and using it, and hoping blessing other people with what he blessed them with.
That's beautiful.
So if I'm mute, it's because I've got interference here and company.
Understood, my dear. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for sharing that. And what I'm loving about today is all these real life examples that we're able to bring into the space, because we could talk theory all day long, but when your real life experiences can really mirror what's going on, I think that that's really important. I'm going to put another one in here because I think it speaks to what we last spoke about. This is some of the reasons why we might struggle to let go of the dead, I think. This one is called disappointment. Disappointment preceded by expectations, set from my own imagination. Could have been anything, really. This I chose, and now it has me, caught in the vortex of negative emotions. A storm brewed from winds of my own invention. I'll repeat that. This is disappointment. Disappointment preceded by expectations, set from my own imagination. Could have been anything, really. This I chose, and now it has me, caught in the vortex of negative emotions. A storm brewed from winds of my own invention.
Wow. Yeah. When I read this, I look at myself. I said, sometimes you go on the high road, you overspeed, overthinking, over imagining things. Of okay, I want to do this. Okay, perhaps I can do this, and then some of the things which you are thinking or planning to do, they don't work out. Then you just, it's a muddle. It's like a web of things going on in my, if that would be going on in my head. Okay, I want to do this. Oh no, perhaps it won't work, or it might not work. Oh, okay, so many hindrances sometimes as well. So it's difficult. This is hard. This is hard. In the end, you are just caught up with things that are not actually working because of imagining things, self-inflict. It's a lot of things. This is the I think this is the most hateful disappointments, which come from your own. Nobody else's. It's from my own. From my own. It comes from many angles, really. Many angles. Yes, I can. Yes, I can't. Or if, suppose, if what, you know. It's all about this. For me, this is all about if, when, how, suppose, and perhaps. If it's a spider web.
I'm hearing you, which is why the piece exists. Anybody else on this before I comment on that?
I was going to say, that first line, disappointment preceded by expectations. Sometimes it's the expectations that we put on other people, the expectation that we put on ourselves, and then sometimes we don't see. Then when we get the results, when the result is a disappointing result, we then struggle to deal with the negative consequences of that, the negative emotions that comes with that. But the whole idea is that we actually created it ourselves. We created some of the storms that we're in. We create them ourselves, even if it's unknowingly or unwittingly.
I love that. I really love that reflection. Yeah, and I love the one about expectations of other people, because that's interesting. Because there's expectations we set for ourselves, the ones we set for other people. you know, I've got another piece that talks about disappointment, but that one has to do with that contractual element that you're expecting people to live up to expectations that they didn't sign up to in the first place. But that's probably a piece for a different framework. And Mary, did you have anything on this one? No. Mary's in
All right.
Right. Go on.
What will I say? That episode reminds me of when we come into partnership with someone else.
Right. Okay.
And expectation, as we overvalue some people, we over-expect that they could do this, while we're not being reasonable that they couldn't. And we could see the trace in it. But we tend to feel, oh, no, with time, they will be able to get there. They will be able to get there. Instead of us allowing them to be who we are and looking back at it, that can they meet what we want them, what we expect of them? And if we can't, we move on. You know?
Yeah.
So, and that's where the disappointment comes in, that you think, instead of you blaming yourself for making that unreasonable expectation of them, we blame them for everything that has happened to us. And I'm going through that now, and it's like, I'm so grateful I came to this session, because it's like you just have to count your loss, that you failed yourself. I failed myself, but out of it, I've learned to make the right decisions now, that I don't over expect anything from anyone. But if I'm looking up to something and they can't meet up, can we still work on something else, or that is the end of it?
I love that.
So I'm dead sitting there. That's why my brain was just going.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love that. So the idea of this so I love what you've all shared, because the whole idea here is that it might make you feel like, oh, why do I do that to myself? But actually, this piece is here to set you free.
Yes.
Because if you created it, you can uncreate it. If you are the one who is setting expectations that nobody signed up for, you can stop doing that. If you're feeling emotions from disappointment and you're able to see, actually, nothing has changed here and nothing has happened, which I think is what Jimmy was pointing to, that even without anything changing out there in our own brains, we're setting expectations are being filled, and we're feeling the emotions all within ourselves, even with nobody else actually being part of that. You can also let that go once you see that. So it's the ability to begin to sit. And again, we don't get that if we don't sit with ourselves. We don't get that if we don't take the time to reflect for ourselves. If we're just caught in whirlwinds of doing and being and with other people and everything like that, we get lost and we start projecting, like someone else actually mentioned there, that you start putting things on other people. Another thing I wanted to mention was something you said there, Mary, about when we get into relationship with people, especially when you look at like relationships that may be more romantic or that kind of relationship. We can often, and I must say, women tend to do this more than men, but I think it works both ways. You begin to fall in love with the idea of who somebody could be rather than who they are. And, and then when they don't live up to that expectation, there is that sense of disappointment. But actually, is it something they actually promised to deliver? Is it something they signed up to? Or you actually saw them as they were? Like someone says, if someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Because if you don't believe them the first time, you'll have to learn by something more injurious, more, the price for your lessons go up, basically. It's basically the gist. If you don't take it at the first time of looking. So it's actually an interesting one, actually. And this speaks nicely into, looks like we're going for a world record of poems to cover today, actually. Let's go. This one speaks into that idea. This one is Welcome to School. It's a pleasure to have you here. Our curriculum is the best there is. We believe in the principle of KISS. No need to complicate what works so well. You're in the right place to unlearn anything. Welcome to the School of Experiential Learning. I'll repeat, this is welcome to school. It is a pleasure to have you here. Our curriculum is the best there is. We believe in the principle of KISS. No need to complicate what works so well. You are in the right place to unlearn anything. Welcome to the School of Experiential Learning.
Wow.
And just in case, KISS means keep it simple. I won't tell you what the other S stands for. Or maybe you could say keep it straight and simple. That's the nicer version. Anything on this one?
Just to say, we never stop learning.
Mm-hmm.
But along with learning, there's also unlearning things is just as important. And sometimes I think we forget about the things that we don't think about unlearning something. We always think about what we're going to learn, but there's things that we do or ways that we think that sometimes we have to literally unlearn those patterns of thinking.
I like that.
Sometimes you have to unlearn something in order to make space for the new learning.
Yes.
I like that too.
Yeah.
I like that too. I think to bear in mind with unlearning is actually harder, because what you've learned creates the filter for what you could learn. So the filter through which you look at the world. And sometimes unlearning is actually removing that filter so you can see other possibilities, see other opportunities. And also, if you don't question what you know and you assume that it is, then it becomes blind. It's like the fish swimming in water and saying to the fish, you know, oh, your water is there. And you think, what water? Because they've always been there. And that's what unlearning can be like sometimes, because you never question it. Again, if you don't spend time to reflect, again, that doesn't become obvious.
That's true.
Anything else?
Can reflect on today. I've learned something and I see what I've been missing.
Yeah, go on.
I'm learning something here, and so it encourages me, to keep the time and come and learn more, and then question a lot of things and question myself, because a lot of this is what I'm taking in is what I'm taking out there. So if I'm not coming to a place where I'm learning something, what am I giving out there? This is about me. Yeah.
I hear you. I hear you.
I appreciate the unlearning also.
Yeah.
Because the unlearning is what got us into where we are today. So if we can unlearn, and that means we have gained more insights. And while we've gained more insights, why should we hold on to what we used to? We need to drop that to make use of what we've learned and what we've understand. But sometimes we still repeat what is supposed not to be there anymore. And that's why, thank you very much for the unlearn. I think where I am now is just to unlearn, because that's the only way I can get progress in what I'm doing in life now, is when I'm ready to unlearn. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I think the other thing to beware of from the unlearning is that it takes longer, because
Yeah.
some of these things we've embodied them for God knows how many
Yes.
years. So as well, to give ourselves the grace that it's going to take time, but we keep trying things, and you know, we look at it, and a good trigger for what you need to unlearn is something that's no longer serving you. So if there's a way of being that's not serving you, that's a good candidate for working out that, okay, if this is not serving me, I need to unlearn it. Okay, this one is called From Inside. You can solve it easier once you get inside. Find that little opening to get you in there. From where you can see more, from there you can know more. Transcend that sense of awe, no longer caught in a stupor. Soon you'll be crafting the door that opens this conundrum up, that makes it a problem. No, I'll repeat, from inside. You can solve it easier once you get inside. Find that little opening to get you in there. From where you can see more, from there you can know more. Transcend that sense of awe, no longer caught in a stupor. Soon you will be crafting the door that opens this conundrum up, that makes it a problem no more. Any thoughts on this?
The inside it's like when God said, repent and let me guide you. Allow me to be with you. So that's like going inside yourself to see who you are, to see the logs, you know, so many things that the inside has to offer you. And just learn, you know, from the inside so that you can walk according to how you're supposed to walk on earth. That's what it's telling me. That's what the inside, I can only get the inside in me, like just going inside and sitting with myself. I remember many years ago, I just had this voice that said to me, in my presence, there is peace. Blessed be the name of God, Jehovah. I am with you always. And what is that? It's all about relationship, connecting to that which is us already, to be able to flourish in life. So that's just what this reminds me again, what he told me, that in my presence, and that's the inside of you, inside the real you that connects with the divine, that in the inside, connect with me in my presence. If you are there inside, there is peace inside to discover.
I like that, and I'll tell you what I want to pull out of that really is, I think very often, I think we've referenced it today a few times, when we think of, you know, whether you call it universe, God, whatever you want to call it, ultimately I think sometimes our traditions cause us to look to a sky somewhere. But actually, when we look at all traditions, you begin to recognize that in truth, it's an insight thing, because that very life emanates from within us. And one thing we're really talking about today is calling people into actually in that quiet space of reflection. When you go inside, that's when you can begin to find, because sometimes we face challenges that look insurmountable. We face things that look, or going back to what Jane was saying, maybe this idea about writing or whatever, and she might think about, oh, for me to start doing that and that, what will it take, blah, blah, blah. But actually, this is saying, okay, why don't you just start from somewhere? Just sit with yourself and say, okay, what one thing, little thing can I do that will start this process. Because I think what our brain often wants to do is work out all the answers before you start, because to it that feels safer. But actually, most things in life, it's when you get into it that the next step reveals itself. So it's that idea that actually, no matter how big something looks, if you would just again center yourself and look inside and find where you can get unstuck from the inactivity you're in, then you can begin to see little openings of an action you could take. Take that action, and then from there, the next action. And that's what will open things up to you begin to think, what was I worrying about? Oh, this has worked itself out. And I'm sure a lot of us can find things in our lives that is true for. Anything else on that one? Right, that was beautiful. Thank you, everyone. So if I just go around the room then, one most significant thing that you've gotten from today, I'll start with Claudette.
For me, the importance of sitting with yourself and making that time to sit with myself and reflect and just be.
Like that. Be. We're called human beings, by the way. So that is part of what we're called to be. To be. Jane, what about you?
Yeah, not to be caught up in the past, because sometimes we spend unnecessary time reflecting on what has been happening in the past. You develop this unknown fear which you can't touch. So get rid of the past and move forward. Even if, regardless of how dreadful it is, there is always something better in front of you.
I love that. I love that. Mary, what about you?
Like Claudia said, I think it's sitting inside, and that I'll hold on to, that the past is gone. You can only regret if you've not learned anything about the past. So it's just appreciating everything, the experience I've gained out of this life, and just enjoy it, and I see where it's taking me to with what I've learned so far. So it's inside for me again.
That's great.
It's just brilliant. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Muriel?
Yes, I'm coming. Move on and learn from the past. Enjoy today. His mercies are new every morning.
Amen.
I love that.
Amen.
Love that. Well, thank you very much, everyone.